Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept The View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
Sunny Hostin suffered a dramatic meltdown on national television after Charlie Kirk delivered a ruthless and methodical takedown. What started as a routine debate quickly spiraled into a public spectacle, leaving even The View's loyal viewers unsure whether to cheer or wince. Kirk didn't simply counter Hostin's points, he dismantled them with cold precision. Her arguments fell apart under his relentless scrutiny, and the confident demeanor she usually maintains gave way to visible unease. As Kirk pointed out, contradiction after contradiction, Hostin appeared caught off guard, searching for replies that failed to land. In an attempt to regain control, she resorted to emotional appeals and tried reframing the discussion, but the momentum was clearly lost. What should have been a respectful exchange instead became a one-sided display. While Hostin struggled, Kirk stayed calm and relentless. This was more than just a debate, it was a vivid demonstration of the consequences when carefully crafted rhetoric meets unyielding challenge. The encounter was a stark reminder of the power of composure and sharp scrutiny in a heated public forum.
Her disgusting, gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach.
There are meltdowns, and then there are live TV implosions so epic they deserve a place in a museum. Sunny Hostin's recent on-air breakdown was the latter, a raw, unfiltered moment that felt like performance art crashing into reality TV. This wasn't just a simple slip-up, it became a cultural event unfolding with chaotic intensity that demanded attention. The segment was so unforgettable it feels destined for viral fame, a defining moment of live television gone off the rails, an unforgettable piece of history that deserves its own exhibit and a place in pop culture lore.
Look, what did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit this last week.
To be fair, Sunny Hostin wasn't caught off guard by surprise confrontations or heated exchanges. There were none. Instead, Charlie Kirk launched a digital assault on her narrative from afar, without even being in the same room or time zone. Kirk's precise and relentless remote takedown shook the conversation to its core. While Hostin tried to maintain her footing live in the studio, her arguments began to crumble under the pressure. This wasn't a typical debate, it was a virtual demolition, leaving Hostin visibly rattled and scrambling for answers that never materialized.
White privilege is a racist myth that is rooted in bigotry, trying to classify people based on their skin color. If you are a racist, you have something to apologize for. If you're a white person who is not a racist, you have nothing to apologize for. And anyone who makes you apologize just based on the color of their skin, they're the racist and you're not. It's that simple.
Charlie Kirk just delivered a masterclass in modern media warfare. Slick, sensational, and perfectly engineered for the algorithm. His latest video targeting Sunny Hostin wasn't a debate, it was an ideological blitzkrieg, polished and produced like a high-budget blockbuster. Dramatic infographics, slow cinematic zooms, and a tense soundtrack set the stage for a performance heavy on style and light on nuance. Facts took a back seat, but the drama was turned all the way up. This wasn't a simple rebuttal, it was political. Theater at its finest, with production values cranked to 11 and a tone dripping with smug confidence. Kirk didn't just argue. He obliterated, delivering scorched earth commentary with a flair that was impossible to ignore. Online, the clip went viral almost instantly, sparking memes, hot takes, and a flood of reactions across social media. In the era of viral politics, Kirk played the game like a seasoned pro. He didn't just release a video, he ignited a movement. Meanwhile, Sunny Hostin was left scrambling, caught off guard in the middle of the digital storm, her response lost in the whirlwind of Kirk's expertly crafted media assault.
This Turning Point conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and you know the.
I think it's important that every single person that attended that Turning Point, every Republican speak up against the swastikas, against the flags that were waved.
You let them in. You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
The clip spread faster than a Kardashian pregnancy rumor. Within hours, it was everywhere. Headlines screamed, "Charlie Kirk shatters daytime delusions," and "Sunny Hostin faces reality check." Social media exploded, subreddits ignited, and reaction channels descended like vultures on fresh prey. Kirk hadn't just released a video. He'd sparked a wildfire in a digital powder keg. The View, typically a stronghold of polished progressive commentary, suddenly seemed off balance. The usual smooth flow broke down, the conversation faltered, and Sunny Hostin, the poised, sharp legal analyst known for her composure, started to visibly unravel. No dramatic outbursts, no shouting matches. This wasn't reality TV spectacle, it was something far more subtle and devastating. Nervous gestures, forced smiles, that clipped, guarded tone struggling to hold together a crumbling argument. You didn't need to hear her words to sense the unspoken thought. Am I being outmatched live? Meanwhile, Kirk, safely tucked away behind his digital fortress, was likely celebrating a victory with a metaphorical toast to the algorithm. This wasn't about dialogue, it was about domination. He didn't just refute Hostin's points, he dismantled the polished media persona she'd carefully constructed. And in real time, on live camera, he shattered it completely.
And the final point I'll say is this, is Sunny, you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue. I'm pro-life, if people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter more. And good for them.
And that's exactly the point Charlie Kirk was making. It's his signature strategy: reduce public figures to caricatures, strip away nuance, and ignite outrage with meme-ready moments. He doesn't rely on airtight logic. He banks on volume, speed, and viral impact, and in this case, he nailed it. While Sunny Hostin was still crafting her thoughtful responses, Kirk had already launched a relentless digital assault, slick edits, viral reaction memes, and even merchandise drops that turned the moment into a full-blown content event. Her stumble wasn't just losing an argument, it was being blindsided by a calculated media juggernaut wrapped in spectacle. Hostin thought she was guiding a civil discussion. Instead, she found herself in the middle of a media ambush disguised as dialogue. Kirk didn't debate, he detonated, and The View, usually steady through mild controversy, was suddenly caught in the eye of a digital storm. You could watch her unravel live, shifting nervously, eyes flicking to the teleprompter for a lifeline, her usually steady voice cracking under pressure. This wasn't just a difficult segment, it was a live broadcast meltdown orchestrated remotely and witnessed by millions.
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me. And it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
Online, the feeding frenzy kicked off immediately. Kirk's digital army transformed Sunny Hostin's visible discomfort into endless reaction loops, TikToks, GIFs, and remixes with trap beats zooming in on every blink and glance. Conservative blogs hailed it as a cultural execution, while Gen Z creators jumped in, turning her expressions into viral dance memes. Digital vultures circling to tear apart a brand. Meanwhile, Kirk stood smirking, the embodiment of smug defiance, soaking in the glow of viral validation. His followers saw this as the moment legacy media finally cracked under the relentless pressure of meme-fueled insurgency, and they weren't far off. Kirk understands the post-truth era perfectly. It's never been about facts, but optics. Who controls the tone? Who dominates the feed? Who wins the attention war with edits sharp enough to cut deep? Sunny never really stood a chance. The algorithm had already chosen its winner, and it wasn't her. This wasn't a debate, it was a meme ambush. Armed with reason and logic, she stepped onto a battlefield ruled by spectacle, where performance and viral moments trump substance every time.
Yeah, they have nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money, and your students definitely could too.
It hit Sunny Hostin's carefully crafted persona like a drone strike. For years, she's projected intellectual rigor and moral authority, a steady voice of reason on a platform known for daytime civility. But none of that mattered once the internet singled her out as this week's target. Her argument wasn't necessarily flawed. The real problem was the optics. She appeared caught off guard, visibly rattled. Worse, she looked human. And in today's viral media landscape, showing vulnerability on live TV can feel like a professional liability. Charlie Kirk didn't win by substance. He won by delivering a theatrical, spectacle-driven blow. The internet doesn't crave nuance. It thrives on drama, and Kirk gave it all. Blood, lights, and a soundtrack. Daytime television used to be a safe, predictable space, polished and carefully scripted. That line has vanished. Now it's just another battleground for online dominance. Sunny walked in expecting civil debate, but instead faced a precision strike of viral warfare. In one moment, one clip, her composure cracked in real time. You could see the flicker of doubt, the break in the facade, and the silent realization that this wasn't over by the commercial break. And the harshest truth? She was fighting hard to stay composed.
Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, it's... or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that's fine, I guess.
It struck like a drone strike on Sunny Hostin's carefully polished image. For years, she's been known for intellectual sharpness and moral authority, an unshakable voice of reason, but none of that mattered once the internet chose her as this week's public piñata. Her argument wasn't necessarily wrong. The real issue was optics. She appeared rattled, unprepared, and most damagingly, human. And in today's viral media landscape, showing vulnerability on live TV can be a career risk. Charlie Kirk didn't win because his argument was stronger. He won because he was ruthlessly theatrical, knowing the internet thrives on spectacle over substance. Drama fuels clicks, and Kirk delivered a fully staged performance. Daytime TV used to be a sanctuary, scripted, moderated, and controlled. Now, it's just another battleground for digital dominance. Sunny walked in expecting a civil conversation, but found herself caught in the crossfire of a viral media assault. No rebuttal, no defense. Just a slow public unraveling under relentless online pressure. In that single clip, her composure cracked in real time. The shock, the rising tension, and the chilling realization the cameras wouldn't stop rolling. The most heartbreaking part? She fought hard to hold it together.
Now we begin with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
Sunny Hostin's carefully crafted public image took a heavy hit, exposed live on air in a way few expected. Known for her intellectual sharpness and calm authority, she found herself rattled and visibly human, an unexpected vulnerability in today's viral media landscape where showing any weakness can be career-threatening. The problem wasn't her arguments, but the optics. She appeared caught off guard, and that moment was all the internet needed. Charlie Kirk didn't win by out-arguing her. He won by mastering the rules of modern media warfare. His video wasn't just a rebuttal, it was a highly produced spectacle designed to dominate social feeds. With slick edits, dramatic zoom-ins, and viral-ready clips, Kirk turned a debate into digital theater, fueling a storm of memes, reaction videos, and heated online discussion. Daytime TV, once a space for polite discourse, has become another battleground for viral dominance. Hostin entered expecting a civil exchange, but was met with a relentless media ambush. Her slow unraveling was caught on camera, a real-time lesson in how traditional media struggles to compete in a world ruled by algorithm-driven spectacle. In the end, Kirk didn't just challenge Hostin, he dismantled a polished media persona and claimed victory in the era of viral politics.
Over the weekend, Turning Point USA hosted a riveting event in Tampa, Florida called the Student Action Summit. Outside of the event were individuals waving flags and engaged in other activities. Well, on Monday's show, members of The View made a few comments about it.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in. You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
For years, liberal media held on to the comforting myth that truth will prevail. The formula was straightforward: present thorough research, layer in legal jargon, and deliver it calmly with Ivy League polish. The hope was that viewers would pause, reflect, and find clarity, but that's not how 2025 works. Today, audiences scroll past nuanced policy discussions in favor of clips screaming liberal meltdown after common sense wins. The game has completely changed. Viewers now crave chaos, not complexity. Politics has morphed into WWE-style entertainment, full of body slams, trash talk, and flying chairs. Debate isn't about clarity anymore. It's about virality. If your opponent can reduce you to a 10-second meme complete with sad violin music and sarcastic subtitles, even the strongest logic disappears into the noise. Charlie Kirk didn't come armed with facts or footnotes. He wielded a digital wrecking ball. The kicker? He didn't even need to be physically present. Sunny Hostin was left standing in the wreckage, a stark reminder that credentials and calm reasoning offer no protection against the ruthless, meme-driven culture dominating today's media landscape. In 2025, it's not just what you say, it's how viral you become.
Monday, we talked about the fact that there were openly demonstrators outside the Florida Student Action Summit of the Turning Point USA group. We want to make clear that these demonstrators were gathered outside the event and that they were not invited or endorsed by Turning Point USA. A Turning Point USA spokesman said the group, quote, 100% condemns those ideologies, and said Turning Point USA security tried to remove the neo-Nazis from the area but could not because they were on public property. Also, Turning Point USA wanted us to clarify that this was a Turning Point USA summit and not a Republican Party event. So we apologize for anything we said that may have been unclear on these points.
In today's media landscape, image is everything, and when a public figure falters, the vultures don't just circle, they live stream every moment for millions to witness. Sunny Hostin may rebuild trust with traditional viewers, but in the ruthless digital arena, composure alone won't save you. She needs a new playbook, one that stops pretending people care about justice and starts accepting they crave drama, popcorn, and whatever goes viral by lunchtime. Sunny's breakdown wasn't flashy or over the top, it was raw and painfully real. But in a world driven by spectacle, authenticity can be a liability. If you're not ready to join the circus, don't be surprised when the circus finds you anyway. Now, Sunny's media image lies scorched, endlessly memed, and stuck in a viral loop of her blinking eyes, replayed endlessly on platforms she underestimated. Once seen as an untouchable voice of reason, she's now trapped in the echo chamber of viral culture. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk has already moved on, grinning from his digital throne. Sunny will likely recover, eventually, but the internet, it never forgets. And in this new media battlefield, that may be the harshest truth of all.